Pour yourself a cold one and listen to the best college football picks podcast going, The College Draft. Yeah, it's Daddy Soda time here on the College Draft Podcast, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. And my guy, Emory Hunt, went 8-2 on his 10 Week 2 college football bets last week. Cannot wait to hear about the top players and his Week 3 bets. We do at least 10 every week here on the College Draft Podcast. For those of you that are new, and the YouTube's blowing up, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Make sure you subscribe and then turn the notifications on. But before the draft, we're all pre-draft, right? And then after the draft, we go over all the picks. But then during the season, Emory, as you can tell, does an excellent job picking games against the spread, as well as giving you some tidbits on guys to watch in those games if you're into the NFL draft and or college football. If you listen to the show or watching, you're obviously into both. The Emory I reference for the new folks is Emory Hunt. You can follow him at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Football Game Plan is his YouTube channel. And then we're going to get a new draft guide link. I don't even want to say, I don't know if it's ready yet. Is 2026 ready yet?
It is ready.
Okay. Footballgameplan.com/2026 draft guide. It's never too early to just get it now and then, let's not procrastinate in life. Let's just get it now. Let's just order it now, and then you have it when it comes out, typically sometime in March. If you don't know Emory, you should, because he's all over CBS Sports Network, CBS Sports HQ. You can't turn on one of those channels without seeing him. And he's obviously very, very well informed about football at all levels, but certainly college football. I'm just Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman at Ross Tucker NFL. You can follow all of our shows at Ross Tucker Pod. Love those of you that rate and review the show. Emory, you went 8-2 last week. A huge, huge Saturday. That is very hard to do, hitting 80% of winners. Let's start with Iowa State, Iowa. You liked Iowa State laying the 2.5, and you said it's because you love Rocco Becht. You have faith in him. And Emory, he came through in the end. He just he's just one of those guys.
Right. He has what we call it, right? And that type of attribute is something that people that, grade prospects or rate prospects, that has to have its weight in gold, man, because that's all the NFL is. Can you rise above in the situations? And Rocco Becht consistently, especially this season, has done just that, Ross.
You know what? You're so right. Think about last night, Josh Allen. There are other talented quarterbacks that don't seem to come through as much as guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of these guys come through in situations like that. The reality is some guys play better in those moments, some guys play worse, and some guys play the same. You're looking for the guys that play better in those moments. How about Michigan, Oklahoma? Probably the game of the day, at least going into it, two ranked teams. You like the under 46.5. Didn't even get close. Oklahoma won the game 24-13. You were right. Both defenses really carried the day. Not even close. Any other takeaway? Oh, by the way, that was my first time watching a lot of John Mateer. Mm-hmm. I love that dude. Yeah. I love that dude. He's just fun to watch.
He is a better version, and this is not a knock. He is a better version of Jake Locker in terms of just has that toughness about him, how he plays. He may not always be clean, but he finds a way to get it done, and I think that in and of itself is worth something. So I like how he played. That last drive they had with the football was all John Mateer, and he constantly made plays.
Yeah, he's just, you said he's not perfect, but Really enjoy watching that guy. Okay, we'll get through some of these other ones a little bit quicker. Illinois at Duke, you like the over 49.5. I didn't see that coming with Illinois scoring 45 points on Manny Diaz's defense.
Point of attack play, Ross. That's the difference between Big Ten and Duke. Not necessarily ACC, but Duke in particular.
Kennesaw State, they were getting 35.5. You took them, and Indiana was able to beat them 56-9.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to cash toward the second quarter, and then all of a sudden, Indiana just continued to find ways to generate big plays, and I ended up losing that one.
Meanwhile, you laid 28.5 with Oregon. I thought this was crazy. And guess what? It wasn't enough. They beat Oklahoma State 69-3. This is probably when you're Mike Gundy and you shouldn't make public comments about Oregon. It's funny, Emory, like looking at some of these bets now, knowing the way Signetti is at Indiana, I think I probably would have laid the points because he's going to try to run scores up and, he just got that Pittsburgh attitude. And then Oregon, after Gundy said that, you knew they were going to be geared up to try to put it on them.
Especially when Oregon is significantly better this season than Oklahoma State and a lot of people they're going to face, to be completely honest.
All right. South Florida, they were getting 18.5. You loved them. They didn't just cover, Emory. They beat Florida in the swamp outright, 18-16. Horrible loss for the Gators when you look at the next 4 games they have coming up.
Right, and you don't want to say it's a look-ahead spot because that kind of discredits South Florida, but South Florida came in after pounding Boise State, so they came in with the attitude like, hey, we can go out there and win that game, and that's why I thought the score was going to be close, and credit to them for continuing to believe in that. So now they have an even bigger game coming up against Miami.
How about this next game? Army, you took them getting 16.5. They went into Manhattan and they won at Kansas State. I was watching a lot of that game Saturday night because I have Army against Air Force later in the season. New quarterback out there in Cade Helms, and they just armied them to death.
Exactly. And if we're being completely honest, Ross, K-State should be 0-3.
Wow. It's a good point. Arizona State at Mississippi State. This was the only other one you missed. You had the over 58.5. And surprisingly, Arizona State didn't put that many points up, and they lost the game 24-20.
And surprisingly, Mississippi State's defense is pretty doggone solid. I mean, it's not Joe Lee Dunn back in the day with that dog day defense, but they are really doggone good.
All I remember is that guy always doing stuff with his hands and never had a headset on. I love that guy.
A gut feeling for defense.
All right, so LSU, you took Louisiana Tech getting 37.5. It's another one you crushed. LSU won 23-7. You knew it was a letdown spot, and you were all over it as La Tech covered easily.
La Tech has the best defense, or had the best defense last year in Conference USA. And I've always said this, Ross, the state of Louisiana has 9 Division I teams, FBS, FCS. So all of them are really doggone good. Outside of LSU, the talent isn't that much different. So not surprised that this was very close.
You laid the 38.5 with Alabama because you knew they were going to come out and try to make a statement after the loss to Florida State. Well, you were right. They won 73-0. So you were 8-2 last week. We move on to week 3 of college football, and we're starting with Georgia Tech against Clemson. You've been a big Georgia Tech guy, a big Haynes King guy all offseason, so I guess I'm not surprised that you are taking Georgia Tech and the 6.5 points against a Clemson team that still didn't look very good against Troy. They almost let LSU beat them twice.
Yeah. And Troy, I'm sitting there wondering, getting prepped for the game, like, why is that score say 16-0? Like, what's going on in Clemson? I'm like, man, Troy is hanging in this ball game. And so, yes, and this is part one of the soapbox that I've always been on, Ross, because maybe I'm the only one, maybe I'm the crazy one, because I try to analyze prospects and analyze a game and analyze what I see. And I'm just not seeing why more people are not talking about Haynes King. And so when you say something and people thought you're a hot take artist or whatever, you realize that maybe majority of the people are just not doing the work. And so Haynes King didn't play last week. We see if they'll put him out there this week. If so, definitely take Georgia Tech on the money line, but take them plus the 6.5. Georgia Tech under Brent Key plays how you want your team to play. They play like South Florida. They play like all these tough teams we talk about. So I'm taking them plus points here against Clemson.
By the way, I gotta tell you, I'm not feeling all the Cade Klubnik love before the year. I think he's a solid college quarterback. I do not think he's like, I read these magazines where he was going to be the Heisman favorite and number one pick. I don't see that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Ross. Like, who is doing the work? Because there's another quarterback we'll get to in a second, and another quarterback that is not getting the hype that we talked about on this show way before anybody, and people thought we were crazy then, but now looking at it, it's like, yo, everybody's slowly trying to dip their toe in the water, but again, who is doing the work? Evaluate the evaluators, Ross.
All right, let's talk about Oregon. You're going to lay the 27.5 with the Oregon Ducks against Northwestern.
I hate that Cam Porter was on crutches in that game because he's one of my favorite running backs to watch in this class. Obviously he's a super senior, but man, Oregon is a juggernaut. And Dante Moore benefited from sitting behind Dylan Gabriel and getting acclimated to this offense because he stepped in and has looked flawless. Oregon is on a mission. They will steamroll Northwestern in Chicago.
Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills real quick. Bills Ravens on Sunday night. Obviously, going into the week was the game of the weekend in the NFL. And when I think Buffalo, I think Labatt. I think buy beer, get gear. I think rewards.labattusa.com to sign up. I actually think this whole program, buy beer, get gear, is genius. Most people are already taking and drinking Labatt. Just make sure you take a photo of your receipt. Then you get incredible merch. It's buy beer, get gear, rewards.labattusa.com.
Wow, who was on crutches?
Cam Porter, the running back for Northwestern.
Oh, I didn't know that. That stinks because that's what they would need in a game like this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, that's not good. All right, let's get to an SEC matchup. This is typically a good one. Man, I remember these games a lot back in the day. Tennessee is getting 6.5 against Georgia. You like the Vols, and you're taking the points.
Definitely taking the points, man. Georgia's offense hadn't looked the best. Is very conservative. This was another game where I'm watching like, man, because I do a FCS top 25 power rankings on CBSSports.com. I'm like, well, based on what I saw last week with Austin Peay beating outright Middle Tennessee and dominating, and them in this ball game with Georgia, is Austin Peay the best FCS team in the country? Because why are they in this ball game with Georgia, right? And so that kind of opened my eyes to, man, this game against Tennessee, they're a little bit more explosive. Now, granted, it's all going to come down to how you manage these situations. So I do feel like Tennessee will keep this one under that number. This may be one of these field goal type games that we'll see between these two SEC rivals.
Well, and yeah, I would say Austin Peay might just be that good.
Right.
I mean, to beat Middle Tennessee State on the road by double digits like that, and then they absolutely hung with Georgia. I was like stunned by that. What are you liking about Tennessee so far this year?
I like that Joey Aguilar is looking like 2023 Joey Aguilar in terms of how he's getting the ball out. He's making good decisions. He's avoiding the back-breaking mistake that you scratch your hand like, yo, where were you going with this ball or this decision? So because he's making the right decisions and the offense looks like Tennessee's offense, and defensively they're doing a great job of winning up front, I like the look of this year's team as opposed to what we saw last year in certain moments. So that gives me confidence that they can go into this ball game versus Georgia and keep this one very, very tight.
So the next matchup is interesting. Texas Tech and Oregon State. Texas Tech is laying 24.5 points. Oregon State's playing at Texas Tech. Oregon State coming off of a bad loss at home to Fresno State, and their coach had an epic halftime interview where he was not happy about the special teams and other things. Trent Bray, I did an Oregon State game last year, and he's a little bit ornery, a little bit. But even after that loss, maybe Oregon State's just not very good, and you're expecting Texas Tech to just take them to the woodshed, laying the 24.5.
Yeah, this is all coming together like Voltron in terms of bad for Oregon State. You go into Texas Tech. Texas Tech spent all that money in the offseason. Style points are involved because they got to make people look at Texas Tech even more so. Very good offense, great defense. This is all coming up blowout for me. So lay these 24.5 points with Texas Tech.
Okay, couple things there. Number one, I missed this. So what money did Texas Tech spend?
In the offseason, they got the Bailey from Stanford. They got all of these transfers to come in and pay significant amount of NIL money. I want to say like $20 million they spent. That's Texas oil money. That's that Lubbock money. That's that West Texas. We don't know what's going on out there, but they got a lot of money, type money. All of this money on this roster, Ross. This roster is built to win the Big 12. So that's why everybody's excited about Texas Tech. So this is a buzzsaw that Oregon State is coming into, especially when you lost last week to Fresno State. You had a bad loss in the first week against Cal. They may not score in this ball game against Texas Tech.
Wow. I wish, you know what I don't like about the NIL stuff in college football? I want it to be public like NFL contracts. I want to know how much every guy's getting, you know?
Right.
Don't you think that'd be better? Like I don't know, maybe it's better for the old heads that they don't know.
Right,
you know?
because the college
that
kids
they can
get
just
taken
watch
advantage
their
of.
alma mater and the guys out there in their uniforms and pretend it's not happening, I guess. But I'm just curious. I would just like to know. Because I hear some of these stories and I have a very mixed emotions. I'm very happy for these young men and very jealous that that opportunity was not available for us potentially back in the day. All right, let's get to our guy Rocco Becht. Are you going back to the Bank of Becht this week on your bets here on the College Draft Podcast? You're going to lay the 20.5 with Iowa State against Arkansas State?
Iowa State right now is on a Sewanee Tigers 1899 run, Ross, where they play like 9 games in 9 days. There's no bye weeks right now for Iowa State. They are straight barnstorming right now. So, yes, lay these points for Iowa State on the road at Arkansas State. Like, how did that get scheduled? Shout out to Arkansas State for getting Iowa State to come to Jonesboro, but Arkansas State is now down a star tailback. Iowa State has it in their mind. And for those that that missed the Sewanee Tigers, the University of the South 1899 reference, go look at what they did in 1899 as an SEC team. 9 games, 9 days, 9 blowouts. So they are on a run right now. Lay these points with Iowa State.
I got to tell you, I don't often disagree with you, but this is an ultimate letdown spot for Iowa State. I mean, you said it. They played the Ireland game, then they played another game, then they just had to beat their in-state rivals, came down to a game-winning field goal after the ball was tipped. Like, if there was ever a letdown spot, and they're going to Arkansas State, I don't even know. So here's what I think about that, Emory. If you don't want to pay another school to come play you, you agree to go there once, Mm-hmm. So this might be a deal where Arkansas State goes to Iowa State twice and Iowa State goes to Arkansas State once instead of giving them $500,000 or whatever the dollar amount is to come to Ames a couple times. Let's get to – go ahead.
No, there was a cyclone joke I could have made there, but I'll move on.
All right. Arkansas against Ole Miss. Your boy Taylon Green is getting 9.5 against Ole Miss, who's coming off a game against their nemesis. They were able to beat Kentucky, though. You like Arkansas getting the 9.5?
Ross, Now we're talking football, right? Now we're talking prospect evaluation. Week 1, Taylor Green had 6 touchdowns, 7 incompletions, right? I think it was 6 touchdown passes, 1 incompletion. Last week against Arkansas State, 4 touchdown passes, 2 rushing touchdowns, over 150 yards rushing. He had 2 interceptions, but oh well. Saying 4 touchdown passes. Taylor Green is still the best quarterback prospect in the SEC, Ross. Think about line him up. Look at how Nussmeier played. Look at how Arches played that everybody talks about. Sellers has been okay, been solid, right? But Taylor Green, year 2, Bobby Petrino has been putting up insane numbers. Last year, Ross, he had 15 touchdown passes. This year, week 2, Ross, he has 12 touchdown passes or 10 touchdown passes. So folks can, who is evaluating the evaluators? I'm saying all that to say this, Ross. This game will be high scoring. They won't lose by more than 9.5. They may even have an outside chance to win this ball game because they have the best quarterback prospect in the NFL draft in the SEC coming right out of Arkansas.
Well, it's been under the radar so far this year, but if he does it against Ole Miss in one of the marquee games, that will change. All right, what about South Florida? You're still riding South Florida. Now they got to play at Miami after they just played Florida, another game against a power in Florida, and you're rolling with them still.
This year's G5 representative may be South Florida because they went from, okay, we mowed down Boise State, we mowed down the big bad SEC. Now we get to go into the Lions Den and take on the Hurricanes, who just came off a great win against Bethune-Cookman that everybody's hyping up, right? So South Florida is now taking on the mantra of hoping we can win, to believing we can win, now to expecting we can win. So 16.5 points, give me all of those points in South Florida. They understand, that this game means something. And shout out to the CW network. You know what I'm saying? There used to be the WB. They used to have all the good shows, the Wayans brothers and all that stuff like that. Charmed, all that stuff like that. Now you got big time football on the CW network. They didn't see that coming, but that's where we're at right now, Ross. Take South Florida in the points.
Time to finish this episode strong right after this. Week 3 in college football is coming up, and that means you guys need to make sure you've got some Twisted Tea. If you're not familiar, it's a hard iced tea made with real brewed tea, which means it actually tastes like tea. Refreshing and smooth, doesn't have that carbonation slowing you down, and it's 5% alcohol. It's got just the right kick to keep your tailgate rolling all day long. So when you're packing that cooler for Saturday football or Sunday, I don't care, stock up on Twisted Tea and keep those game day vibes going strong. All right, how about Vandy? Vandy put it on Virginia Tech.
He did.
Vandy put a lot of points on. That's not good for Virginia Tech, by the way. That game, I think, was at Virginia Tech. Now, Vandy plays South Carolina. Your first total bet of the week, you're going over the 47.5.
There's a lot in this ball game. You have Lenora Sellers and the most explosive offense in South Carolina. You got America's quarterback, Diego Pavia, and Vanderbilt are just, finding ways to make big plays. This game screams over. It screams over. This is one of those games where you're going to have multiple game breaks and like, man, how is this game going back and forth? Because Vanderbilt was losing that ball game against Virginia Tech and then just all of a sudden just exploded with points. And so South Carolina, we know, has an explosive quarterback, explosive wide receiver, explosive defense. There will be a lot of big plays. I think this one will be a high scoring game. So I like the over here.
Love it. All right. What about Ohio and Ohio State? What a win for Ohio to win against West Virginia. I think that game might have been at Ohio for some reason. I don't know how that was the case. West Virginia played at Ohio in Athens, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's not a good idea. Ohio wins the game against West Virginia. Now they have to play Ohio State, but they're kind of like South Florida this week. They got some confidence now.
Yeah, shout out to my former coach, Kerry Bailey, who texted me on Friday and said, Ohio's going to beat West Virginia. I'm like, Okay, I don't see it, but that maybe they'll keep it close. Man, they went out there and beat West Virginia. I don't know how he got that. He was like, you need to start listening to me, right? So he called it. So shout out to Coach Kerry Bailey, man. And when you think about Ohio and how they played, this is one of those games where, listen, this is a big stage. We got confidence. We just beat West Virginia. The way they'll attack this game because of the in-state rival and all that stuff like that, I don't think they'll get blown out as bad as this line indicates. So get the 33.5 points right now before Vegas puts a little bit sauce on it and then marks this down to like 25 or something like that. So get it right now while it's 33.5.
All right, what about Texas A&M against Notre Dame? You're taking the under 48.5, Emory.
This is like a boxing match. I think we'll see two physical point of attacks, defenses. Notre Dame won't forget to run the ball this week. And so we'll see a good – this is a great game for you and I to watch. Point of attack for you. All these running backs for me, I like the under.
All right, he likes the under 48.5 A&M against Notre Dame. So just to recap, Georgia Tech plus 6.5, Oregon minus the 27.5, Tennessee plus 6.5, Texas Tech minus 24.5, Iowa State minus 20.5, Arkansas plus the 9.5, South Florida plus 16.5, Vandy, South Carolina over, A&M Notre Dame under, and the Ohio Bobcats plus 33.5 against Ohio State. Check them out at FBall Game Plan. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. Make sure you rate and review the show, and definitely subscribe and turn notifications on. The keg is kicked. We are all tapped out.
Thanks for tuning in to College Draft. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Even Money, and Fantasy Feast, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.